Isa lang ang ating pagbuhusan ng ating kakayahan, ang ating bayan. Isa lang ako sa mga hindi titigil magtrabaho para makabangon tayo. Wala po akong panahon ng magkipag-away, manira o ngumaunaw. Wala rin po akong panahon para magyabang o mangako lamang. Bongbong Marcos po, lahat tayo ay kasama para bangon bayan muli.
Harapin natin.
Hello everyone at welcome po sa ating channel. This is Coach Jaret. Today is January 19, 2022 and alam ko po mga kaibigan, this is an unusual hour for me. But today we have a very special guest. Pangarap natin to mga kaibigan. Kaya without further ado, let me this person, this man does not need any further introduction. Let us welcome into our channel our future president, the 17th president of the Philippines, Mr. Bongbong Marcos. Hello, sir. Good morning. How are you po?
Mabuti naman, Coach. Okay na. I think nalampasan na natin yung konting exposure natin, exposure ko sa bagong Omicron. So thank you for asking, but I'm okay. At magandang umaga sa lahat na nanonood at nakikinig.
Ayan sir, as I mentioned po kanina, pangarap po talaga natin na kayo po maimbita po dito sa ating channel. And thank you very much po na napaunlakan nyo po yung atin pong maliit na channel po sa inyo pong
My pleasure, my
na
pleasure.
mapakabisita po kayo. Ayan po. Sir, so you had a lot of very good things happening for you po, sir. Like yung atin pong surveys is really sabi nga po ni Ambassador Bobby Tiglao, no, you are beyond gravity. And recently po sir, you won sa sa petition po, no, sa second division. Coming into the campaign season po sir, how confident are you po on a scale of 1 to 10 that number one po, the other petitions will be dismissed and that your chances of winning these elections are high. So how confident are you po sir?
Well, in regard to the remaining petitions to disqualify me from the upcoming election, we are, of course, we also always rely on the law. It is very clear what the law is, what the law says. Yung na-dismiss na mga petition, na-dismiss kahapon, yung mga natitirang petition ay pareho naman ng mga ground. So, siyempre, we are confident na since the same grounds were used for those other petitions, the same arguments to dismiss those petitions will apply. The same arguments that the second division used will apply to the cases before the first division. So, although on the merits, we can see, matagal na nga namin sinasabi na on the merits, talagang these are just politically motivated na petitions to remove me from the running. Pero on the political side, I am never confident. That is one lesson I have learned since a long time ago, from a long experience in politics. At I of course the numbers are encouraging, magandang makita na marami talagang nagpapahayag ng suporta at tiwala, lalong-lalo na sa UNITEAM sa pag sama namin ni Inday Sara, maganda
Mhm.
naman talagang reaction ng tao. Ngunit
Yes,
uh,
yes. Opo.
I have always been as a matter of policy, when it comes to a campaign, basta in my mind, I'm always behind. I'm always
Mhm.
struggling. I'm always catching up, because like in any, I guess, like many aspects of life, if you are not doing anything, you're going backwards. So
Mhm.
that's my always. So we have to
Correct.
keep pushing. We have to keep pushing. We have to keep getting the message out. But
Mhm.
we the the nice feedback that we are getting is that the message of unity seems to be well
Mhm.
accepted by
Correct.
Filipinos. Oh, yeah. Kaya
Mhm.
doon kami yun ang aming pinupundasyon. Yung aming advokasya na pagkakaisa ng buong ng sambayan ng Pilipino. At yun ay
Mhm.
papatuloy natin. Of course, there are all the nuts and bolts aspects of watching the vote, of organizing
Mhm.
your supporters, all of that. So yun ang aming ginagawa ngayon. Lalong-lalo na hindi kami masyadong makalabas muna. So yung
Oo
mga
nga po,
kailangan
eh.
gawin, all of those other aspects we have to take care of. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, I remember very clearly that ang advice sa aking ama na when it comes to elections, you must be always running scared. And that's what I continue to do.
Really? Interesting. That's a very interesting mindset po, no, sir. And actually, you mentioned already po, sir, yung inyo pong advocacy. And it actually yung advocacy niyo po is encapsulated po sa inyo pong slogan, no po, yung sama-sama tayong babangon muli. In fact, sir, it's one of the first nung una niyo po siyang binanggit nung nagproklama po kayo na tatakbo kayong pangulo. The first time I heard it, I really loved it. As in, sabi ko, it's very aspirational. It
Mm,
evokes on the Filipino values and bayanihan spirit.
mm.
So, sir, I'm just curious po, no, sir. What is the thought process behind that slogan po? And what are the different what's the inspiration behind it po?
Well, very simple. Really, that because we are in the middle of a pandemic crisis,
Mhm.
and the pandemic brought a lot of economic hardships to our people.
Mhm.
Nawalan ng trabaho, walang perang pambayad ng kahit na ano, etc., etc. All of these things that we are suffering through now. And
Correct, correct.
if
Yes.
you look back at the history of the Philippines, uh, wala namang tayong pinagdaanan na krisis na tayo'y nakaraos kung hindi tayo
Mhm.
nagkaisa. And this is another
Mhm.
crisis. This practically, it's not a war, but it is in a sense, it is a war. The pandemic,
Mhm.
and that we have to come back.
Correct,
And
correct.
after the war, maybe the war is won, you still have to recover from the damage
Mhm.
and whatever happened during that crisis. And the only way for that is for us Filipinos to pull together. And
Mhm.
I'm
Correct,
happy
correct.
to note na pagka naman pinag-usapan namin yung pagkakaisa, yung magtulungan na ipagbuklod-buklod natin ang galing at kakayahan ng lahat ng sambayan ng Pilipino, it is well
Mhm.
accepted by Filipinos because that is already the nature of
Correct.
Filipinos.
Yes.
We
Mhm.
are not a hateful people. We are not hindi naman tayo na palaban na naghahanap ng away,
Mhm.
naghahanap ng gulo.
Mhm.
Filipinos are quite the opposite. Filipinos really, I mean, what we are always telling foreigners when they say what is
Mhm.
essential part of the Filipino culture, we always talk about bayanihan and with
Correct, correct. Yes.
how we help each other. And that's why I
Mhm.
think that the message of unity, yung aming sinasabi na nagiging kilusan na nga ng pagkakaisa, I
Mhm.
think that's well accepted by Filipinos because it is already
Agree.
in the Filipino nature, and we just have to encourage that to resurface again and become an
Mhm.
integral part not only of our political discussion but the discussions that we have in our society.
Mhm. Oo nga po ano, sir, yung kaya nga po when I first heard it sabi ko, ang galing naman ang galing nung the very idea of reviving po no yung bayanihan spirit and yung unity po. It really resonates on different on many levels ng Filipino culture and Filipino values. Um, but sir, no, on the other end of the spectrum, syempre po, we all know what history or what the history book says and what some other people believe. Um, and actually nga po sir, I'm very very impressed on how you get to manage all of these hateful words towards yourself and your family. Um, so usually po sir, no, the next logical question will be with the goal of sama-sama tayong babangon muli. And the knowing na meron pong ganong klaseng mga tao, how can we or how do you plan to accomplish that the sama-sama part of the slogan po sir?
Well, I think it is just having being open
Mhm.
to all the different facets, factions, even if you want to call it that, of
Mhm.
society. Um, ang lagi ko sinasabi, siyempre nasa gitna ng kampanya, we're in the middle of a campaign,
Mhm.
the election is coming up very soon, and siyempre, people will take sides, and that is by its
Correct, correct.
by its very nature, ang politika is polarizing because you choose sides. But I think
Mhm.
that politics has its place. And after
Mhm.
the elections are done, the concern that every person who is in office, every public servant, should be how do we work towards the national interest?
Mhm.
And as long as we
Correct,
keep
correct.
focused on the national interest, and in my case, if we talk about nation building, so long as we continue to talk about those things, then
Mhm.
yung kulay ng politika medyo nababawasan at hindi na
Mhm.
tayo nag-uusap tungkol sa sagutan, yung mga maiinit na
Mhm.
salita na lumalabas
Correct,
pagka
correct.
eleksyon. So nalampasan na natin yung eleksyon, may nanalo, may natalo. But
Mhm.
Pilipino naman lahat 'yan, eh, kailangan natin ang tulong nilang lahat. So we of course you always bring in as the best people that you can find, no matter if they helped you during the election, if basta
Correct, correct.
they are willing to help to make the Philippines a better place, for us to recover
Mhm.
economically, for our people to be safe and healthy. Kung yan naman
Mhm.
pare-pareho naman ang ating hangarin para sa mga Pilipino,
Mhm.
that's the way we keep that we bring people, all people together.
Mhm.
We do not want to bring. We're not saying that everybody has to be in the same party. Hindi kailangan yun.
Mhm.
But
Correct, correct.
we have to bring all the best talents. Ang galing-galing ng Pinoy, eh.
Mhm.
Yan ang pinakamalaking
True,
asset
true.
talaga natin, is our people, eh. Ang galing ng
Mhm.
Pinoy. We have a very good reputation as in our overseas foreign workers. We have a very good
Mhm.
reputation of what good workers Filipinos are, how industrious, how resourceful, how well trained, all
Mhm.
of the things that have given us the advantage in the foreign markets. Uh, that is our asset. And as long as we
Mhm. Correct,
maximize
correct.
that asset, malakas ang loob ko. But
Mhm.
makakaahon tayo rito. But the thing is to kailangan hikayatin natin lahat na o sige, hindi tayo
Mhm.
nagkasama nung nakarang halalan, pero
Mhm.
wala na, tapos na yung halalan, magsama na tayo para ang dami nating
Correct.
problema, tulungan mo naman kami at
Mhm.
kailangan namin yung tulong ninyo. And I think that kind of open-mindedness,
Mhm.
that laser focus on the national interest, on nation building,
Mhm.
basta't manatili yun, then we will bring people together to work
Mhm.
for the Philippines and for the people.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree po. And I think that message can be something for especially doon po sa nasa kabilang partido po no na who's always very critical of
Well,
what you do and everything that you represent po.
that's okay. I mean yung okay
Mm.
lang naman yan, handa naman tayo sa ganyan at matagal na ako na sa
Mhm.
politika, and this
Correct,
is
correct.
this is really part of that. But
Mhm.
but the reason I do not indulge in that is that kung
Mhm.
makikipag-away ako, makikipagsagutan ako, makipagmurahan ako kahit na kanino, nakatulong ba sa taong bayan 'yun? Will that help the
Correct.
people have a better life? Will
Mhm.
that have us have a better future? I do not think so. That is how politics
Mhm.
has been conducted in the previous years, and it has not gotten us
Correct, correct.
anywhere. Kaya
Mhm.
isipin natin what will really have an effect, a good effect on the condition of the ordinary Filipino, of the condition of the Republic of the Philippines in the community of nations. That is what is important to
Mhm.
me.
Correct, correct. And that's why a lot of people are very drawn to you po, no? That a lot of people are very drawn to you and they are looking up to, especially this campaign po, no? It really highlighted po that value po that you espouse. And sir, you mentioned po yung nation building. How do you kasi po right now of course the economy is in shambles and we have the
Mm-mm.
COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um there's certain sectors that say na you're only banking po on your name or on name recall for these elections and you don't really have a solid platform. For the benefit of everyone po na those who support you and those who even do not support you. Is what is your platform of government po, sir?
Well,
Or yeah, ito po, what?
we have to view it in the long and the short term. In the
Mhm.
short term, kailangan talaga, what we have to do is to get past this pandemic and to
Mhm.
get people vaccinated, and to stay safe until this latest surge. Sana bumaba na yan. Pagka merong mga nagsasabi, and we have begun to see the statistics coming out of our healthcare system na pababa
Mhm.
na raw, at especially anyway in NCR, the incidence and the infection rate is going down,
Mhm.
starting to go down, and hopefully this will apply to the rest of the country soon.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
that is what we have to attend to first, is the health and safety of our people, and
Mhm.
at the same time as we are doing that, we are slowly opening up the economy. We are slowly
Mhm.
preparing the economy for our resurgence into
Mhm.
the global economy. And right now,
Correct, correct.
we should already be preparing, because if we look at the other countries, especially those who we trade with, those who we have
Mhm.
very strong diplomatic and economic relations with, if we look at them, they're slowly coming out of the Europe is slowly coming out of the pandemic, and they
Mhm.
are
Yeah, yeah.
their economies are beginning to show signs of revitalization. The United
Mhm.
States is going through a difficult period right now, but being such a large and strong economy, they will also
Correct.
be at the forefront of the recovery of
Mhm.
the global economy. We in the Philippines should already be positioning ourselves by
Mhm.
recognizing what is the new world economy going to look like, because it is not the
Mhm.
global economy in late 2022, third, fourth quarter of 2022 is not going to
Mhm.
look like the economy of pre-COVID economy of last quarter 2019.
Mhm.
Hindi na magbabago talaga yan. And we have seen it. The effect of the use of the internet, the different technologies that have come, so that there are new businesses that were created that did not exist before. We are
Mhm.
in a good, we are, but the Philippines is in a reasonably good position to take advantage of that resurgence in the global economy. We have to position ourselves
Mhm.
already properly, which means we take care of the basics. We take care of the
Correct.
basics that in the Philippines right now, if you talk to a Filipino, and you say anong opinion mo rito sa pandemic, hindi
Mhm.
nila masyadong pinag-uusapan yung sakit, na ayaw namin
Mhm.
magkasakit.
Yeah,
Inuunang pinag-uusapan,
true.
wala kaming trabaho, wala kaming pera,
Correct,
wala
correct.
kaming umaasa na lang kami sa ayuda.
Ayuda.
Then
Mhm.
siguro mga 4, 5 ayaw namin magkasakit.
Mhm.
Although, so you can see that really for Filipinos, and it is the most important thing right now, I think, in terms of the economy, is we have to create jobs, and
Mhm.
that
Yes, yes.
we have to develop certain parts of our economy so that those jobs are created. And what are the areas where pinakamabilis na magkaroon ng trabaho pagka nag-invest ang public sector, ang gobyerno, pag nag-invest sa mga kumpanya, saan kaya yung pinakamabilis na magkakaroon tayo ng trabaho? Well, I've always
Correct.
talked about MSMEs, yung mga small, micro, small, and medium scale enterprises, yung mga malilit na negosyo, malilit na tindahan, that comprise a great majority of our
Correct.
employment. All and of the businesses, we're at 90+% of our businesses are MSMEs. 62% of the employment are from MSMEs. So unahin natin yun. And because we know that the MSMEs have been very, very, very hard hit by the pandemic and the economic consequences of the pandemic. So talagang unahin natin sila kasi pag mag-invest tayo, marami kagad na trabaho yan. Yung mga hairdresser, yung mga talyer, yung mga maliliit lang na even yung mga trader na mga agricultural goods, all of these things, we have to invest in them so that we create jobs para magkapera na ang tao, para mayroon silang pangbili ng kanilang pangangailangan, pambayad ng kuryente, ng tubig, pangmatrikulasyon sa bata, etc., etc. So MSMEs are prioritized. Agriculture also needs to be prioritized because that is it is one of the weaknesses na nakita natin nung pumasok yung pandemya, yung ating food supply. Dahil umaasa tayo sa importation. So ang gagawin natin, kailangan patibayin natin ang local production. At bukod pa doon, ang maganda sa agrikultura, yung tinatawag na I guess the return from your investment in terms of jobs ay mabilis. Pag nag-invest tayo sa agrikultura, maraming downstream na trabaho yan. So that will create jobs again. Oo. So and then we have to find to put up this sa infrastructure especially. We have to include, pag pinag-uusapan, maganda yung inumpisa ni Pangulong Duterte na build. Pagpatuloy natin, planuhin natin na mabuti, tapos kabitan na rin natin ng digital infrastructure dahil nakita naman natin how important it's going to be. And we can do that, and I think we should promote the idea, the concept of public-private partnerships, because the government cannot do this by itself. The private sector cannot do it by itself, but a partnership between the public sector and the private sector is very powerful, and I think that is one of the key elements that we will have to pursue. And then nabanggit ko na the digital infrastructure. We have to improve our connectivity, our bandwidth, and even the price, the cost of using the internet. So those are the first. Tourism is another very quick fix, kung tawagin.
Yes.
Dali sa Pilipinas yan because the Philippines is a beautiful place. It's so easy to publicize. We already are very well known as being a wonderful tourist destination. So let's go to that. Paghandaan na natin habang maaga pa. And even if wala pa yung ating mga foreign tourists, yung domestic tourism natin medyo matibay-tibay. And people are very much willing to go to different parts of the country hanggat wala pa yung mga foreign na bisita natin, maaasahan natin yung mga local. And you can see recently medyo nung bumaba yung infection rate, pagka sinabi medyo nagbukas ng konti yung mga resort, naku, nagdagsaan agad ng tao. And we should let's continue to encourage that by improving the facilities, fixing the airports, all of these things, because you can see pag tourism, ang laki ng downstream niyan. Hindi lang pinag-uusapan yung mga travel agent, yung mga hotel, kung hindi pati na yung pagkain, yung agriculture, kasi you have to have food to feed, meron mga maliliit na tindahan to sell souvenir. All of these things, ang daming downstream. So that is another area na mabilis siguro tayong makabawi. Pagka mula maaga pa lang, we are already investing in our airports. We are investing in the roads going to and from the airports, the transport and the communication facilities, all of those things, so that when the time
Mhm.
comes and people are allowed to go to these tourist destinations, naka-ready na sila. We were
Totoo,
already
totoo.
starting to do that in the Philippines, pero tinamaan tayo ng udet. Yung pinuntahan
Mhm.
pa naman ng udet, lahat tourist destination. Sinira lahat
Correct.
yung mga
Yeah,
pinaghandaan na para sa
true.
Pasko. But never mind. We are Filipinos. We are resilient. We are
Mhm.
brave. We are determined, and we will continue to do. Sige lang, kahit nang bagyuhin tayo, we'll continue to work
Mhm.
towards that situation where tourism has become a large part of the economy again. So
Mhm.
these are some of the elements that we have to look into to bring the economy back, to create jobs. That's essentially what we're trying to do, is to create
Mhm.
jobs.
Correct, correct,
Um,
correct.
and in the meantime, in the long term, we have to look into the weaknesses in our different economic sectors. Agri is right there, is one of them that needs to be looked
Mhm.
into, especially infrastructure. We're doing a good job. We must continue. Education
Mhm.
is something that we have to really look into. Na medyo naging na-highlight ng konti yung education dahil nahirapan talaga tayo doon sa remote learning. And
Mhm.
hanggang
True,
ngayon
true.
kumakapa-kapa pa rin tayo, how really it is to be done. But as siguro konsuelo natin, it's the same for everybody all around the world. But nonetheless,
Mhm.
we have to look beyond the pandemic and say, pag nag-face to face ulit, ano yung kakulangan doon sa ating
Mhm.
edukasyon? And how do we help the teachers? How do we give them more support so that they can do a better job than they can do now? Kasi ngayon, yung mga teacher, hindi masyadong nasusuportahan kung ano-anong kailangan
Mhm.
inaalala nila. Inaalala nila, hindi dumating yung sweldo nila, na late. Paano nila
Correct.
may pamilya lahat yung mga yan. Mag-aaral
Mhm.
din yung mga bata nila, mga anak nila. So, what we can do is help them, support them somehow, that financially, with retraining, with refresher courses, so that
Mhm.
they are not preoccupied by other concerns, and that they can concentrate on teaching our children. And
Mhm.
we all know that it's really, our future is in the hands of our teachers, because with a good
Mhm.
education, we have a bright future. And the opposite is unfortunately also true.
Mhm. Yes, yes. Oo nga po, sir. I think the education sector and kasi po at one point in my career I was part of the education sector.
Mhm.
It's one of the very um hindi naman po unnoticed but hindi po siya masyadong nabibigyan ng pansin ng ating administration in the past. I mean not this
Mhm.
one, no, especially when PRRD signed the SUC law. I think that was a breakthrough in our education
I agree.
system. But
I absolutely agree. Malaking
mhm,
bagay yung naging libre ang SUCs.
mhm,
That
correct.
was a very, very matagal na nating inaantay yan. Much awaited yan.
Mhm,
And sa administrasyon lang ni Pangulong Duterte nabuo yan.
mhm, correct, correct. And I'm ano po being an HR practitioner for a long time. I'm really ano po, it's really my kumbaga pangarap ko po talaga na ma-level up yung competency ng Filipinos. And since you mentioned po, sir, a lot of your platforms po are a lot of them are very very good, and a lot of people agree I mean a lot of us who are observers agree na ito po yung dapat na direction po natin for the next administration. Um and also po taking note that you recently joined the PFP, Partido Federal ng Pilipinas, and understanding na in the past there was an effort to shift our political system from presidential to federal,
Right. Mm.
is and to do some sort of a charter change, and right now meron pong
Mm.
push to amend the constitution, especially sa FDIs. Is this a direction that you will also take in your presidency, God willing?
Well, these are things that need to be discussed and examined. There's whenever you talk about a change in the political system, which is essentially pag nag-federalize yan, mag-federalize tayo. it will be very different, the political system, from what we have now.
Mhm.
And every time you talk about nabanggit mo in passing very quickly FDIs, the
Mhm.
economic provisions that people are saying we have to amend in the constitution so that we will improve the foreign investment into the Philippines. Tama lahat
Mhm.
'yan. But there have been very difficult political obstacles to amending the
Mhm.
constitution, and it is basically the suspicion of the general public that any attempt to amend the constitution by politicians is only to extend their term or to postpone the elections.
Mhm.
And ganun talagang reaksyon ng tao. Ay naku, gagamitin lang yan para hindi mag-eleksyon. Ayaw na nang mapasubo sa eleksyon,
Mhm.
makipag-ano sa eleksyon. O papahabain nila o iibahin nila yung sistema. And
Mhm.
there are ways that we can pursue, that we can examine, wherein we do not have to, um, in our constitutional convention or whatever
Mhm.
method we choose to amend the constitution, meron siguro we can limit the discussion in whatever
Mhm.
body that we choose to uh, amend or and debate and argue the changes, the amendments to the Constitution, meron that we can limit the discussion only to economic provisions, for example, and not to
Hmm.
wag natin pasukin yung mga eleksyon, yung
Mhm.
pagpapalit ng magpo-postpone ng yung mga
Mhm.
Noel, et cetera ng pinag-usapan. So that is something that we have to pursue. And the idea of federalism, I think, is a good one. The
Mhm.
only problem is, I think, for me, is a practical one, having come from
Mhm.
the local governments. Like, for example, if we federalize, there's one there's always a danger that we are adding yet another layer to government. When in
Mhm.
fact, kasi may governor na eh. So
Correct,
maglalagay
correct,
ka,
correct.
sabihin natin senator, sila ang
Mhm.
uupo. We federalize, let's say by region.
Mhm.
Just for argument's sake. By region gagawin natin. Anong gagawin mo doon sa mga gobernador doon? At alam naman natin around the country yung iba sa
Mhm.
pinakamatibay na LGU executive ay yung mga gobernador. So
Governors, correct.
yeah, hindi mo naman pwedeng isang tabi na lang, o sige, mag-retire na kayong
Mhm.
lahat. Hindi. And then there's also that danger, as I mentioned, that we're adding, may governor na, we're adding another layer to our
Mhm.
government. When in fact, what we should be trying to do is bringing government closer, not further, from the
Correct.
grassroots, from the left. So for me, there's that practical consideration. How do you
Mhm.
transition from our present system to the federal system? And that is something that
Mhm.
needs to be examined, discussed. We can probably find a solution. There's also the question of the multi-party system.
Mhm.
That
Yes, yes.
I'm sorry to say to say this, uh, I apologize to the proponents of the multi-party system, of which I used to be one.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, I think the multi-party system has not really succeeded in the Philippines,
Mhm.
uh,
True,
for
true.
many reasons. For many reasons,
Agree.
we can talk about it for a long time, but it really has not succeeded. Maybe we should re-examine a return to the two-party
Mhm.
system, uh,
Mhm.
and that will, I think, that will rationalize a lot of the political
Mhm.
activity that's going on in the Philippines. But these are very big subjects, um,
Mhm.
and we need to be very, very careful, because when we make such fundamental changes, as in amending the constitution, there will be unintended
Mhm.
effects. And it will affect not one person, not one group, not one province, not one region, but the entire Philippines. So we have to be very
Mhm.
careful.
Correct, correct. Um, Actually nga po sir, now that you mentioned the two-party system, it was the system prior to this one. The prior to this one, right? Tama po ba? Kasi
Oo,
I was
yan,
really young
iba.
during that time.
Oo, nasyonalista lang at saka liberal noon, eh. Meron
Mhm,
mga tumatakbong independent. I remember
mhm,
Raul Manglapus in 1965 ran as an independent. Yung kanyang partido was PPP. But there were still the
mhm,
main parties, the NP and the LP. So, but
mhm,
the reason I talk about that is because sa ngayon, the problem, I think, one of the problems that the Philippines is suffering is the quality of leadership. We
mhm,
always say
correct.
that anyone should be have the chance or
Mhm,
can be president. And I agree with that. Anyone should
mhm,
kung talagang magano siya, sumikap siya at magtrabaho siya at marunong talaga siya,
mhm.
everybody should be allowed to be president. But
Yes, yes.
not everybody makes a good president. Uh,
Correct.
so you have to understand how that works. So the
Mhm,
nice thing that the mechanism within the two-party system works this way. You know, in my party, whatever, if I am one of the two parties, sabihin natin in PLP, or I'm in one of those parties, sasabihin
mhm,
natin na doon sa partido ko, lahat yan gusto magpresidente, lahat yan gusto magsenador, maggobernador,
mhm.
magmayor. So, sa loob pa lang ng partido, tinitignan na natin sino ba yung pinakamagaling. Sino ba talaga
Correct, correct.
maipapatalo natin? Sino ba who has something to contribute? So, from my
Mhm,
party, pag napili na natin yung mga kandidato natin at hinarap natin sa tao, sasabihin natin, ito yung pinakamagaling talaga namin. Wala nang mas
correct.
magaling dyan, kundi di sa
Mhm,
listahan ng kandidato na ito. Yung kabilang partido naman, ganun din ang ginagawa. So pagpresenta nila ng kanilang kandidato, yan din ang pinakamagaling namin. Nasa sa inyo na
mhm.
mamili
Correct.
kayo. So whoever
Mhm.
wins, magaling.
Correct, correct.
Di ba?
Panalo ang
Dahil
Pinas.
dahil nagsabong na 'yun sa loob ng partido, pinagsabong na
Correct.
lahat, 'di ba? So yung ano do'n, that process is important.
Mhm,
With what has happened now, that process no longer goes on.
mhm. Correct, correct. Correct. Yeah, and I ano po eh, I think back on my previous work as an HR professional na
Mhm.
karamihan it's something like that po eh na we interview people, we assess their competence and kung kaya
Mm,
nilang gawin yung trabaho and from there
tama.
we decide who we're going to hire. So how I wish po na we can go back to that system
Well,
na
it
we
is a
can
major
yeah.
ano, I'm sure there will be very many good arguments for maintaining the multi-party system. But,
Mhm,
uh, my assessment has been na the people do not quite understand what the multi-party system is.
mhm,
Even more importantly, the politicians do not understand or have lost the true meaning of what a multi-party system is. Because if you
mhm,
look at the multi-party systems around the world,
mhm.
the parties, the different parties are created to advocate a certain ideology.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
when you go
Mhm,
like the one I'm
mhm,
most familiar with is in England. Pag sinabi mo I'm from the Liberal Party, mga liberal 'yan. I'm from the
mhm,
Conservative Party, konserbatibo 'yan.
hmm,
In
mhm,
Germany, I'm the Green Party. The Green Party is worried
mhm,
about ecology and the environment, at least sa umpisa.
mhm. Yes.
You have the Scottish nationalists. These are
Mhm.
so the groups in Scotland that want to be independent. So
Correct, correct.
meron silang layunin, may ideolohiya. Sa atin
Mhm.
medyo nawala sa atin 'yun.
Yeah, yeah, I
Kaya't hindi
agree.
sa palagay ko hindi naging maayos ang patakbo ng multi-party system.
Mhm. I wish we can we can at least do a review of it po no sir in the future kasi I think na ano eh it's really important na everyone
It
understands
really
na
is.
yung partido po it's not just there so that as a vehicle for politicians to get into office. Na
Mm.
dapat po talaga may pinaglalaban yung partido. Also sir no a lot of people when they think of the Marcos name immediately goes to the idea of energy.
Yes.
For kasi po your father was able to complete the Bataan nuclear power plant and on your end naman po you were able to um establish a renewable energy source in Ilocos.
Mm-mm.
Is that something that you would want to do in your presidency nationwide?
Well, not only is something that you would want to do, it's something that you have to do. Because the
Mm-hmm.
question of energy is very, very central.
Mm-hmm.
You touched upon FDIs earlier on.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to talk about FDIs, you talk to the investors. Now, one of the
Correct,
number
correct.
one issues that they raise is the price of power,
Mm-hmm.
the reliability of power, the availability of power.
Mm-hmm.
So
Correct.
that is something that needs to. The reason I think that there was a big push in my father's administration was because we were trying to industrialize. We were moving away
Mm-hmm.
from the agricultural, agri-centric. Um,
Mm-hmm.
of course, the agri is always going to be the foundation of our economy,
Of course, of
but
course.
we were moving towards industrialization so that mas malaki naman ang mas maganda naman ang hanap buhay ng ating mga kababayan. And
Mm-hmm.
central part, and if you look at the very by definition, industry depends on power. And
Mm-hmm. Correct.
if you are an investor and you're saying, will I invest in the Philippines or this country or that country? Kasama na diyan yung tignan niyo how is power available? Is it reliable?
Mm-hmm.
Is it cheap? Or is it
Mm-hmm.
affordable? Never mind cheap, but is it affordable? Alam mo naman ang negosyante gusto lang, kikita ba tayo? Kung
Correct.
masyado tayo
Profit, correct.
masyadong binabayad sa kuryente, hindi na tayo kikita. 'Di wag na
Mm-hmm.
lang tayo diyan, do'n na
Mm-hmm.
tayo sa murang kuryente.
Mas
And
mura. Mm-hmm.
that's a big become a very big very important thing. So we have to
Mm-hmm.
look now that with global warming, we also have to play our part in terms of renewables. And so
Mm-hmm.
we are still developing the proper mix between
Mm-hmm.
renewables and traditional sources of power. But nonetheless, we need everything. We need
Mm-hmm.
the renewables, but also we still need the traditional sources of power
Mm-hmm.
because the renewables are dependent upon natural conditions,
Mm-hmm.
and
Correct,
sometimes
correct. True, true.
it does not coincide with the requirements of industry, and so those
Mm-hmm.
requirements that are not be satisfied or not filled rather by
Mm-hmm.
renewables, we have to still depend on traditional. So that mix is still being defined now because the technology on both sides, on renewables and on
Mm-hmm.
traditional, are changing, and
Correct, correct. True.
that will be a factor in the ano bang mix, 25% renewables ba o
Mm-hmm.
35% na by this year. All of those things have to be taken into account because things are moving very very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
The technology, of course, is moving very very quickly. But a
Mm-hmm.
nuclear power plant, we can look into it again,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps, but not in a political way. Because
Mm-hmm.
that was
Yes,
the
yes.
problem. Yan ang naging problema ng Bataan Nuclear Power Plant. Ginawang political eh.
Mm-hmm.
It became a political
True.
issue, not a science issue or a
Mm-hmm.
economic issue. So maybe if we can put aside all those political,
Yes.
all those political, how do you say, criticisms that led to its
Mm-hmm.
non-opening, maybe we can still take advantage of the BNPP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Sir, is it still possible to to kasi a lot really kapag pinag-usapan po talaga yung candidacy niyo po, sir, no? And I've observed it po sa aking channel whenever I would do a live stream about different issues in the Philippines. The BNPP really comes up as a number one kasi nga Malampaya I think will be depleted of resources na by 2027.
Yes, yes.
So, is it really possible po ba na ma-revive pa po yung BNPP?
Well, it's still possible, no? But we, of course, have to be practical about it and look.
Mhm.
If you go to the Bataan Nuclear Power Plant, bago lahat. It's all new.
Mhm.
They maintain it,
Brand new. Mhm.
and pero nagbabayad pa tayo eh. Hanggang ngayon, we're still
Correct,
paying for
correct.
the power plant for wala naman tayong nakukuha. So, but
Mhm.
unfortunately, one of the main issues that for the rehabilitation of the Bataan nuclear power plant is that the nuclear fuel had already been sold pinadala na sa nung panahon ni
Ah,
FBR, pinagbili na yung fuel. So we will have to buy that fuel back to reinstate it. And then
okay.
we will have to rehabilitate it to the modern technologies kasi siyempre may mga safety
Mhm.
features, may mga
Correct,
safety
correct.
features na hindi na ilagay, wala pa nung panahon
Mhm,
ng 1986 na meron na ngayon,
mhm,
to make it more efficient, make it safer, all of those things. And
mhm,
to bring it up to that standard, again, we have to
mhm,
look at the costs. I think technically it's possible, but
mhm,
we will have to see, go into it in very, very minute detail and see really if it's still worth it.
mhm,
But I think it probably is.
mhm,
The example I'm always using is South Korea, because South
mhm.
Korea has
Yeah,
what they call sister plants. Kagaya
mhm.
kasi yung sa atin BNPP Westinghouse ang nagtayo niyan eh.
Yeah, Westinghouse, correct.
Yung nasa South Korea Westinghouse din ang tinayo. Kamukha
Mhm,
nung plant, same technology, same design as our plant here in
mhm,
BNPP, and it has been very successful
mhm.
in Korea. In fact, nagtayo
Correct,
sila
correct.
ng isa, nagandahan sila, nagtayo sila ng pangalawa, pangatlo, pang-apat, lima na ang tinayo nila.
Buti pa sila.
Dahil na maganda raw ang naging malaking naitulong. Ironically
Mhm.
nga, ang tawag doon sa kanilang power plant na sister plant ng BNPP is Cory. Korean, Cory 1, Cory 2, Cory 3, and Cory 4 and Cory 5.
Ironic nga po.
So it's ironic that that's how it turned out. But
I know, right?
that's just as an aside. In fact, South Korea, because
Mhm,
they have been seeing the discussion on the BNPP, nag-offer sila na they can come
mhm.
and they
Yes,
can
yes,
look at
yes.
our
Mhm,
power plant and they'll see kung ano yung mga kailangan gawin, how they can give
mhm,
us an idea how much it's going to cost. Of course,
mhm,
Westinghouse will still be part of it, but we can
mhm,
use the experience because the Cory 1 came up
mhm.
around a little, I think, just after BMPP. So from
Ah,
that time until now, yung experience nila, ano yung mga naging problema, ano yung naging advantage, baka
mhm.
maturuan pa tayo once we decide to do it.
Correct, correct. Correct, correct. Agree po ako diyan, sir. Sir, we have a very short time left.
Ay, oo nga 'no.
But sir, opo, just one more question, and
Yes.
this is, I think this is more personal than anything, all of the questions I've asked. God willing po, sir, that you become the president after May 9 elections. What is your dream, or what is the idea that you have for the Philippines after, when we reach 2028 po? After, at the end of your term in 2028.
Well, should I be so lucky or so blessed to be given such a position, to be given the mandate of the people? I think we cannot hope 6 years. Narinig din natin si Pangulong Duterte, sinasabi niya hindi niya
Mhm.
natapos lahat ng gusto niyang gawin sa 6 na
Correct,
taon.
correct.
But so but what we need to do is to make the necessary changes to strengthen our institutions, to strengthen our
Mhm,
economy, so that in that way we are able to prepare for the resurgence of our economy of the
mhm,
as part of the global economy. So yung
mhm,
mga basics natin, ayusin na natin. Yun na nga, yung sinasabi
mhm,
ko, yung mga digital infrastructure, yung infrastructure, ayusin na natin, yung education natin, ayusin na natin,
mhm,
simulan na natin ayusin, tulungan yung mga teacher. Yung the concept of PPPs, the private and public sector partnerships, that idea really has to come to the fore
mhm,
because we have to engage all the elements of
mhm,
the economy and of society to help in this recovery. And the important thing I think is to get it started and to be able to
mhm,
show that these policies and these ideas and these programs are
mhm,
helpful and maraming naitutulong to get so that people understand that these are things that should continue even
mhm,
after any administration, that because malaking naitulong niyan, magandang programa yan, ipagpatuloy natin. And
mhm,
again, it is in terms of public, in terms of the uh, the strength of the state, of
Mhm.
government, it is really dependent on institutions. And so we have to
Correct, correct.
strengthen our institutions. We have to strengthen the press, the judiciary,
Mhm.
that they can do their job best, the legislature, of course, and of course the
Mhm.
executive. But not more than that is our military, our financial systems, our educational systems. These are the
Mhm.
institutions that are necessary for a successful economy,
Mhm.
a successful society. And so
Correct, correct.
those are the areas na dapat natin simulaan na natin at ipakita
Mhm.
natin may magandang sistema para naman
Yes.
kahit wala na yung administrasyon, ang tao nakakaunawa, hindi, wag natin titigilan yan. Maganda ng maraming
Mhm.
natulungan yan. Get that started, so that we are
Mhm.
being we're using our imagination, we're being creative, we're not
Mhm.
doing business as usual. Look where business as usual
Correct,
got
correct.
us. Diba? So we
Mhm.
have to think of
Mhm.
we have to be understanding and clever about what the world is
Mhm.
out there and how we are going to use it, how we are going to be part of it. So get the
Mhm.
beginnings, to strengthen the institutions, to the policies that we know are going to be valuable
Mhm.
in the next uh, many years, 10, 20 years. Let's get them started already. Let's get them going
Mhm.
already. And I think if we make a good start, and if we can show that these policies, these programs, these ideas are truly advantageous to the people, then they will continue.
Mhm. Ah. I wish po sir no that that will all happen after May 9, 2022 and as tulad po ng mga ibang majority ng Pilipino, we are putting our trust in you, and the survey shows that, sir. We the people trust you very well, very much rather, and they look up to you, and that you will support and sustain us din po for the next 6 years. So
Thank
I'm
you.
really looking forward po, sir, to a Bongbong Marcos administration. And
you're you're very kind, Coach. Thank you very much. And, thank you
thank you, sir.
for your kind words.
Yes, sir. And I hope that we have more time, pero po very short lang po kasi yung binigay sa akin na time here. And it is truly an honor po, Sir Bongbong Marcos, to have you here on my show. And I hope po na makaulit po ako one of these days when
Oh, no,
things are
no.
better po.
The pleasure is all mine. I thank you for the opportunity that we are able to talk to some of the issues, talk about
Mm.
some of the issues that are in people's minds. It's important
Mhm.
that we are able to present some
Mhm.
solutions to the problems that we are facing. So thank you for the
Correct,
chance.
correct. Yes, sir. And sir, any ano po, any of words po for our audience before we sign off po.
Well, again, maraming salamat. Thank you thank you that you have been given me this opportunity to speak on some of these subjects. I know na hindi
Mhm.
natapos ang usapan kung minsan sa iba, pero
Correct.
may
Mhm.
mabilis ang oras at medyo
Mhm.
malalim ang mga iba't ibang mga issue na pinag-uusapan natin.
Mhm.
Ngunit maliwanag na that people are interested to know. And so
Mhm.
thank you for this opportunity. And I would like to all of those who have been who have shown expressions of support and of trust to the unit team, to myself, to
Mhm.
Mayor Inday Sara. Sana naman ay pagpatuloy natin ito. Magpapasalamat ako sa inyong lahat na ginagawa. Magpapasalamat ako sa inyong tulong, sa inyong suporta. At
Mhm.
ipagpatuloy natin hanggang magtagumpay tayo, hindi lamang sa halalan, ngunit
Yes.
sa pagkakaisa ng sambayanang Pilipino.
Mhm.
And as a quick reminder, mag-iingat lang po tayo diyan at mabigat
Mhm.
itong Omicron. Alam kong nakakapagod na dahil
Mhm.
matagal-tagal na natin ginagawa ito. Pero
Correct.
balikan natin, mag-ingat lang po tayo dahil wala namang may
Mhm.
gusto magkasakit. Let's go back to the to the old formula that
Mhm.
we must be wear a mask, wash your hands, social
Mhm.
distance. Dagdag na rin natin get vaccinated. So I
Mhm.
hope everybody is safe and everybody is stays safe, stays well. And
Mhm.
once again, thank you for this chance to speak on these
Mm.
subjects to our people. Maraming salamat, Coach.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. The 17th president of the Republic of the Philippines, Sir Bongbong Marcos. And to everyone, maraming po salamat for watching us today. And I hope that I get to see you again tomorrow. Sa mga nasa abroad po, God bless your rest. Sa mga nasa Pilipinas, God bless your work. And I'll see all of you tomorrow on our next Coach Jaret Live. Thank you, everyone. Bye.